Hello, everyone. Everyone's trying to join.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, I'm hearing an echo of myself. Just
Hey,
ver- just verifying we're live on my end. Yeah, looks like we're live. Okay, cool. So we have more people joining. Hello, Robert. No, long time no see.
yeah, I think it's been exactly a month actually. Right,
Since the
it's good
last
that we
thing
have
we
these
did.
meetings, so we have time to catch up.
Yeah, time to catch up live to everybody else as well.
How many people are watching this time? You
Uh,
gotta check Twitter. That's the trick, right? Because everyone's watching on Twitter now.
yeah, most people are watching Twitter. Um, on Twitter, there's only 13 viewers, and then we have the people that are in here. So it's not that much yet, but we're getting there.
That's what we thought last time, and I think there was a few hundred at the end. So.
Probably it depends on who picks it up. But welcome everyone else. I assume more people will show up as we go. Um, it seems like we'll get 032 out today, which is super exciting to me. It's been a long time coming because we finally have access to do everything. I'm like, okay, cool. Now let's just hit the button. Um, but yeah, we can get into that in just a moment though. Welcome, B-Man. Yeah, we have 20 people on Twitter watching, including this. So it's not the worst. We'll find out. Okay, cool. We can go and get started and start going through all the different things. I was hoping that maybe Arson would be here because he had some plans as well that he wanted to discuss about V2, but maybe we'll just have to discuss asyncly in the contributors chat afterwards. So I guess we can get started on where we're at. So 032 is basically ready. We're going through two last things right now for the release. This is one, making sure that we have the actual version bump happening, and then secondly, making sure that we have the 2.3 upgrade because thankfully Acheron came back and said, "Hey, we missed something." So I'm very happy he was able to catch that, and so that we can actually have 2.3 fully compatible with Anchor 0.32. And so we're going through those last things. It looks like we have the 2.3 bump good to go. I just need to pull in the changes that we made, and then we can get in. Anybody else wants to review that, go for it. It's not that complicated. There is one thing to note is that there's a slight regression on like C usage and stack on it. Some things improved, some things did worse. It's it goes with the upgrade, I guess. Um, and then the last thing is just the version bump, which I believe we did everything correct. There are some test failures, and I'm just double checking. I literally went file by file on the last version bump to make sure we did everything correct. Looks the same, so just trying to figure out what those additional test failures are and why they passed on the last one and succeeded on this one. So that's currently 032. That's everything with 032. Is there anything I'm missing from anybody else? Okay, we can go through like what's in 032 if we want.
Yeah, maybe briefly.
Okay, so I actually wrote up like as part of the PR for the 032 bump, I wrote up like what the big changes were, because those will actually go live on anchorlang.com or whatever. So I can share my screen and we can go through that real quick. Let's see. Cool. All right, so as part of this, so this is the part of that version bump PR. and what kind of changes actually happened. So we have the general like how to upgrade, the version that we are recommending, and then here are the changes that we implemented that were pretty substantial. Like one that everybody should know is that Anchor Verify now uses Solana Verify to verify builds. This means, as a breaking change, this means if you are trying to use the CLI 032 or higher to verify older Anchor builds, it will not work. So that's something to changes actually happened. So we have the general like how to. Let's see. Do we have a Zohib? I think you're. There we go. Cool. So that's something to keep in mind. The Docker containers and images will still work overall. You just have to use an older version of the CLI to verify. This is to stabilize and going forward because Solana Verify is the one that we're actually going to continue to maintain. Anchor Verify is not the one that we'll continue to maintain. The big one that I'm, okay, well, actually that's later on. IDL, this is another breaking change. IDL will be automatically uploaded by default on deployment. Previously, it was an optional thing that you had to do afterwards. Now it'll happen every single time. This is kind of to help push forward adoption of IDLs and get more people using IDLs on chain and being able to understand like what is the IDL at a certain Anchor version, etc. There's no point in hiding this. Most of the time, people just find this on your website anyways. So might as well make it easy to get. Now, this is a breaking change and something to note. And for people that are using the IDL that's uploaded in your front ends, know that this is, if you don't want to upload the IDL and change what's currently deployed, you have to use the -- no IDL whenever you deploy. I'm thinking about, we probably have to talk to Helium Noah because I know he does that. If anybody else has some large changes, please reach out. That's just something to consider. We have just the MSRV to the Rust template. This is so that you can tell you what Rust you need locally versus what we had a problem, especially with 031.1, was that everybody was running into issues with knowing which Rust they needed locally. This one will tell you, and also we have the recommended version of 189 or higher because it's required for the stabilization of span local file. So if you want to do that, just Rust update. I think Rust is currently 1.90, so you should be good there. Onto the IDLs. Talking about the local span problems that you may have, the span local file problems that you may have encountered in earlier versions. That was due to IDL building with nightly builds. This is now stabilized, and this will be stabilized in 032. So we won't have this problem in the future. The idea was to stabilize this so that when we go to 1.0, which we're lucky it stabilized earlier, when we go to 1.0, we don't have sudden breaking changes that breaks all versions. We want 1.0 to be a very stable version of Anchor that won't just suddenly break in the future. All right, so there's a number of different things that happen on the Lang side. One was we've improved a bunch of the error messaging. Previously, like you get these really strange errors. For example, if you try to init a system account that make no sense, we improved those by actually giving like information that you can do action upon versus just these random errors that you have no idea what they are. So this is it's a breaking change, but it's basically a good change. It gives you better error messages. I don't think anybody was relying on these error messages before, or at least I hope you weren't, because they don't mean much to most people. A huge change was instead of using the Solana CPI invoke method from the Solana SDK, we now use the Solana invoke crate, which was originally built by KV. So shout out to KV for building that as part of Nos SDD. This is a replacement. It on average saved about 5% CUs across the board when doing CPIs, so it's good. I don't know if anybody uses this today. Solang's no longer supported. It kind of wasn't supported already because the Solana CLI stopped supporting it, so we just removed it from Anchor and freed up a lot of the room in it. A number of different things, or I guess two different things to keep in mind with TypeScript. We removed some event parsing panic issues. Previously, there was a way that you could accidentally panic when you were listening for events. We removed that, or we basically made the regex a little bit better to handle those issues. And then we added support for Bun as a packet manager. Ultimately, all these changes, like these are like the ones I thought we should definitely mention. There are a huge amount of other changes within the changelog, and if you want to go through the changes and you're listening to this and you want to see what's actually all encompassing the changes in 032, check out the changelog. This will hopefully go live today as long as we can get the release to work correctly on the CI. But yeah, is there anything that anybody thinks I missed on this 032 like that I should absolutely call out? No. Okay, cool. So let's stop that. And all right. So 032.1, the changes that will go into that. There is a change that was done by Pierre from Jupyter that is supposed to improve the CU usage on logs pretty dramatically because it avoids you having to rederive the account every single time. That's gonna go in. That's the first target we're going on. Is there anything else that y'all think that should go in 31.1? Other than potential fixes that in case we break something?
Like we should, I feel like, I feel like we should just cut 1, right?
1.0?
Straight to cutting 1, as opposed to squeezing small things into 32.1.
I do want like a faster release cycle of like, hey, this is something that's very small. Let's just cut it or cut the .1 and push it out.
I think the issue is if we keep adding stuff to 32.1, like there's going to be 32.2 and 32.3 and so on and so forth, right? So it might be better to just suck it up and say, we're just cutting 1, and then after that we can have a smoother and faster release cycle.
So straight to 1?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because I remember we were talking before, right? And I feel like every month we talk, and then there's always like, we're cutting another small release. And I worry that's gonna keep going into the end of the year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I really don't want it to go to the end of the year, so.
I mean, we only have 2 months left, right? Or I guess 3 months left, so we are kind of.
Yeah, if I'm looking at like what we're doing on DevRel, right, and what goals that we have on DevRel is that in January of next year, we've moved this a little bit, but in January next year, I want to use the latest and greatest Anchor version that I expect to be used for quite a while, which ideally would be V2 by then. We'll see if we get there. Arson claims that some of the changes that we want in V2 are very easy. So if they are, I'm happy to have them. So.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a PR, we can definitely review that.
Yeah, the one thing that we're waiting on is .10 on Pinocchio for 2.0 because that comes with another breaking change, and I don't want a ton of breaking changes after 2.0 ideally as well. And also,
when is that launching?
Within a month is my understanding. It's supposed to be this month. It's not a big change. It's just the pub key address thing.
Okay.
It's a breaking change, so they have to do it.
I feel like it's a pretty big change.
It is a big change. We'll manage it. That's why it's 2.0, right?
Right. Okay, so I guess the plan is we push off that version for 2.0, and then 1.0 is before that breaking change.
Well, 1.0 won't be Pinocchio, right? 1.0 will just be stable current, like Solana program.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And then okay. Yeah, that will be a fun change. I still don't really know how I feel about that. I feel like people are going to complain about having to migrate everything. Like change the names.
Oh. For 1.0?
Types. No, for 2.0.
For 2.0? Yeah, I think most people, my understanding is most people probably will not do a migration to 2.0 immediately. It'll be a very slow migration because it is Pinocchio, right? It'll be there. It'll be available for people, and most programs that use 2.0 will probably be net new. Like I do,
Right.
because another thing is that we will be changing. The plan is to change the JS stack as well for 2.0 for the default JS stack uh, to actually use Kit, Gil, whatever, instead of Web3.js, because Web3.js is not really being used anymore. Or should I say maintained? It's still being used a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We could always make the decision to maintain it and actually make updates to it, but it feels like that ship has sailed quite a long time, because I do have the ability to make releases for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that might be a longer discussion.
Yeah, okay. So I guess current state is that we're trying to go for V1. I think the majority of changes that we wanted for V1 are basically ready. There's one big change that I know that we still need to wait on another team for, is the Borscht change, waiting on the Near team to make that release, so that we can actually not re-implement the same functionality with an anchor. I want to try to avoid that. There is the other one that I think that still needs to be worked on, is the CLI, removing the dependency on the CLI, for Solana Tool Suite, and have the only thing that we're pulling in from Solana Tool Suite the platform tools, so that we can have a very stable building experience on Anchor V1. I don't want it like the current state right now of like Anchor, Solana CLI, Solana SDK. It's like, what versions do I pick to what's the version combination that actually works? I want that to never be a problem again. And so if we remove the dependency on the Solana CLI, and then just re-implement the things that developers need, and then pull in and pin the platform tools for the version that you're building with Anchor, it will always build and always work. That's the goal anyways. Let's see, there's some comments in this chat. There's no comments on Twitter, but there are comments here. Constraint-based failures where it thinks knows what the account is but doesn't know based on the endpoints of the constraints. Oh, this is the accounts resolver. That's for the TypeScript side. Yeah, we do need to fix that, I think, for 1.0. The thing that I think Spaceman Dev is talking about is that if you are using the accounts resolver and it does the automatic PDA resolution, it doesn't do it correctly. it like, if you add an account that it expected, if you add an account that it already did auto resolution for, it'll error out and give you this really weird error. And then also, if you miss an account that it expected you to have because it could not figure out how to do auto resolution, it also gives you an error. The way that Acheron solved this was the accounts partial. That would just be like, hey, if you add it, then that you're good to go. But that doesn't make sense because you're adding accounts. So let's change that for 1.0, in my opinion.
Is there a GitHub issue for this? I don't look at the TypeScript that much, so I'm just curious.
Let me create a GitHub issue for this.
Okay, I was like,
I think so. I created one. Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue for that, but I can add it in.
Yeah, I created one when the accounts resolver issues first came, and Acheron fixed it somewhat, but not all the way. It was a lot worse before. In 0.30 it had a whole bunch of problems, but we're in a better place, but not the best place. So that's the other thing. And then some of the tooling stack for 1.0 that we want to replace is, I want to replace Solana Test File Editor with Surfpool completely. Just switch them. The Surfpool, as of really last night, I think they fixed all the bugs that that I had between the difference between Solid Test Validator and Surfpool. The only thing that doesn't exist is the what is it? The voting, because Surfpool doesn't act like a validator. It's like light SVM with RPC methods. Jeff, I'm gonna mute you because you're here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Holy shit. Sorry. Sorry.
Is it
Alright.
fully compatible? Actually, I haven't looked that closely at it.
It is fully compatible. It has every RPC method that available. The only ones that don't really work are like voting ones, things that you would do as a validator. So if you want to do stuff that test, like if you're doing something that you're doing with like stake or based off of votes with some kind of program that I've seen these exist in the wild sometimes, but if you're doing something like that, it won't necessarily work on Surfpool, but then you just use Solid Test Validator at that point. But everything else, like you can use Surfpool as a drop-in replacement, and it has all the RPC API methods already, and it just works. Like I've just taken a front end that I was working on Solid Test Validator, and I just, instead of running Solid Test Validator, I ran Surfpool, and it just worked. So it's like amazing. It's so great.
Wow.
I want to do the drop-in replacement. The TXTX team is making that change. They're also making the change to where it uses the TXTX infrastructure as code thing for the migrations, because migrations are basically not used at all in Anchor. I don't even know if they work. We just
what is it? I don't think I've ever touched that. What is Anchor migrations again?
It's supposed to be a basically, what is it? Some domain specific language, DSL, for migrating between environments, right? That's what you're supposed to use it for. I've never seen anybody ever use it. I've used it once, and I've also had people complain about it, and I'm like, I don't even know if it works anymore.
I don't even remember this feature. I'm reading the source code right now to try and figure out what it does.
Yeah, so my argument is that, hey, it exists. Some people may use it, but it's generally unmaintained, right? We have no one has touched it in probably years at this point. Let's just do a drop-in replacement with the exact same thing that it's trying to do on TXTX's stuff. Let them maintain it. We're good to go from there.
I feel like we talked about this last time too, but there's so many random Anchor CLI commands that I've never touched before, and I'm kind of wondering who actually uses them. Migrate is one.
We removed publish, so
yeah, I remember we talked about one before as well.
Yeah, it was the one that allows you to run code like from the CLI.
Was it Shell?
Yeah, Anchor
Shell. Yeah, like, okay. I mean, I wish we had some analytics for who uses what commands, and if maybe we just remove it and see who complains, and then if no one complains, then we did a good job.
I don't know how people feel about it, but we could run analytics on it, but also that feels pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, that opens up a whole other can of worms, right?
Yeah.
I'm half joking, but I wonder if we should just remove some of these commands and see if someone makes a GitHub issue for it. But like Anchor Shell, come on, who actually uses that, right?
It seems pretty cool. Like, I started using it after I found it.
I didn't even know it existed until we had that call.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I guess if you want to keep it, if you use it, then we should keep it. So, I think we need to do a little bit of cleanup on this repo.
Yeah, we do. There's still some things. Akron said he wanted to remove some of the deprecated work still for 1.0. So everything is already tagged as deprecated within Anchor. We just need it. So we can even do it ourselves. Just start removing everything if we wanted to.
Right. Yeah. Expand. Do you know what Anchor expand does?
Isn't that the thing where it expands the macro so you can actually look at the code?
I've always used Cargo expand. I've never used Anchor expand. I guess maybe it's just a wrapper for it.
Yeah, it's just a wrapper.
Got it. Okay, I mean, yeah, I think we're getting a little sidetracked.
Okay, so we can do an investigation on that for 1.0. So the big changes that are still waiting that don't have a PR today are like the Borscht change. Well, the Borscht change has a PR, but upgrading the Borscht and getting the near team to make that upgrade, and then I think the CLI, and then just general cleanup of the repo, and then otherwise I don't see much else that we other than the ones that we already have ready for 1.0. It feels like 1.0 will happen really quickly. Probably the thing that we'll wait on is just the near team.
Yeah.
Jacob, when are we aiming to release 1.0?
Probably within a month.
Within a month. Okay.
Like I don't see us not well. Okay, I guess here's a question for you, Robert. Is that we get all these things say in 2 weeks, by some magic. One thing that we wanted to do that we discussed, and we can I guess tell everybody here as well, is do like a full audit report on 1.0 with everything. What does that timeline gonna look like at that point?
Yeah, so are you saying not just the diff, but
Yeah.
the whole scope? I mean, I don't think it should be crazy. Last time we did it, so we did one for, I think it was like 28 or 30, right? The one we did, this was end of 2024, I think, or 2023. I might be getting the years mixed up, but we did one, like, we talked to Armani and we did one for him. And I think that took 1 to 2 months, maybe 1 to 3 months. But that was sort of like a from scratch. We don't assume anything review. So, I mean, it's not crazy. I think probably 1 to 2 months would be my guess.
Oh, boy.
You know, if we want to do it before end of the year, I think it might be a bit tight, especially with the holidays and
Got it.
Thanksgiving and stuff.
Is there like something that you can borrow from if you did a 30? You've done the diffs each time, right? So
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to make assumptions. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about how to structure. I mean, we can also try to split out some of the scope. Like if we want to focus on this set of features and do that from scratch, that can make sense more than like re-auditing all of the macros.
Got it.
Right? Like I mean, a lot of the macros haven't changed at all since Anchor first started. So I don't know if it makes sense to audit everything.
Yeah, and it won't change for 1.0 for the most part.
Right. Yeah, so maybe we can like try to cut the scope down a little bit and just.
Okay, so
Sorry, Jacob. I just want to say we have scope prioritized. So if we want to release earlier, we can kick out the low priority or even the medium priority ones. But the breaking changes, like we should finish them fairly soon, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's required that we do the breaking changes for 1.0. So I guess we can do that, and then kick it off as soon as possible. Just do a pre-release, create the diff, and then kick it off and see what we can do. What I would want to do also is to try to get in parallel. So as soon as we get like a branch cut for 1.0, do the 2.0, start doing the 2.0 work in parallel, because at this point it can be done. As long as we have .1.10 from Pinocchio, we can start doing the work in parallel. Okay, I guess the two things more to mention on 032 is that we have a security bug bounty now on Anchor. And so if you want to contribute back, or if you find some vulnerabilities, there is information under the security.md on the Anchor repo of how to do responsible disclosure. Please follow that if you run into any vulnerabilities. And the other thing is that we will be, with 032, publishing the diff report that was the audit of the diff on 032 as well.
Did we ever do a public announcement for the bounty? And I mean, I know the PR is technically public, but did we do a tweet or something?
We
Because
can't.
I don't think people actually look at. Okay. Yeah, I think we should announce it more publicly.
There's some stuff that might stop me from being able to announce it, like me personally or Foundation
I mean, we can
personally?
announce it for you if
Okay.
you want. I prefer if we could get a retweet from the foundation, or I guess maybe
I'll
from the
tell
lab.
you.
I don't really know. Okay, we can talk about it later.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
later the yeah, okay. I've done this once
Okay.
before and I got a hand slap for it. So
Okay.
we can
we can figure out.
we figure out
Right.
something for that. I mean, I guess I'm
Okay.
talking about it here, but here we are.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so there's that, and then so we can do that, and we can publish the auto report. I'm going to do that after we do the publish for 032. Just add it to the repo itself, of like here's the under like an audit folder or something, so we can have it there. Yeah, just the same way that like Solana, I guess Onza does for all those Solana reports. Cool. Is there anything else that you think we're missing that we haven't discussed already for 1.0?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Is there anybody
Um,
from the audience that has something that you think should absolutely go into 1.0 that we have not spoke about yet?
are you monitoring all the chats?
There's nothing coming from
I only
Twitter
have,
right now.
yeah, I only have Discord open. What major breaking changes are we expecting at 1.0 for Inspiration GX?
Borscht is a big one. Borscht is the really bad one. Yeah, because everybody went through that earlier. So that's like the really big one.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I had a question about like the testing, specifically fuzz testing. Would that be something you would want for 1.0, or would that be for a later release?
I think that's whenever we can get it in. I don't think it necessarily has to be a blocker for 1.0. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of it more as a parallel effort to the existing releases.
Yeah, and we can get that in as like a minor release as well, because it's like an additional feature on a 1.0, so that should be fine. It's just like as soon as we can get it. But the I guess order priority is get a stabilized version of Anchor out first, and then get fuzzing out afterwards. Well, I guess stabilized version. Actually, I would also argue 2.0 with Pinocchio, so that I can actually teach Anchor to everyone starting early next year, and then start adding the tools as a minor version additions.
Spaceman Dev asked, how's Kodama compatibility for Anchor?
So I guess it's something to discuss as well, is that one thing that we can do is we can add Kodama as an optional like IDL builder for 1.0. I wouldn't want to make that the default. We could, but I don't think we should immediately, and just make that as like an optional for building it. And then you can use Kodama to generate Kit, Gil, whatever you want as part of Anchor, and it's just be part of the using the build. I think for 2.0 we would want, so I guess it's still up in the air whether or not we do Kodama default 2.0. We could. I don't see like it's like a decision that we have to make of, do we continue to maintain for 2.0 the JavaScript library, or do we drop that at that point? We could drop it completely. I would argue that you would still need something a little bit better than what Kodama generates to have a good SDK to interact with Anchor itself. That's my argument for it. I don't know. What do you think?
Was that directed to me or Spaceman Dev?
Anybody's welcome to reply.
I actually don't know that much about Kodama, so I generally only look at the on-chain stuff.
I think Kodama needs some improvements that we might just build within Anchor, actually. I think about it. Some of the things that Kodama has is not that great on developer experience side today. Like, for example, you have to write a config every time you want to actually build and create an SDK. That's not great.
Who's it maintained by?
It's maintained by Onza today. I'm generally for removing the majority of dependencies on Anza on my side. It's like part of removing Solana tool suite. I understand Kodama though. It seems like a splatter anchor to effort to do anchor and Kodama completely reasonable. There's also the case that Kodama doesn't support everything that Anchor does, and the maintainers of Anchor or of Kodama disagree with some of the things that we've added to the IDL on Anchor. Like, for example, the stuff that Noah from Helium uses for doing the account constraints. There's some stuff that gets added to the IDL and it gets auto-generated in the Anchor.js with the IDL, and Kodama, the stance that they have always taken is that they will not add support to that. And so that is like immediately dead on arrival for us to do a full switch. Will Metaplex change if we move away from Borscht? No idea. That's up to them. Is there any plan to remove Web3.js? Yes, I think for 2.0 we will remove it, and then optionally for 1.0 we will allow you to do not Web3.js. I think there will probably be Gil, given all the work that's been going into Gil from just both the community and foundation side. Will Anchor build command is hard to run for the first time can be fixed? File an issue.
Yeah, sorry, could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, elaborate and file an issue, please. Serialization will be default to use address instead of pubkey inside Borscht. That will be for 2.0, right? Well, we still haven't decided what serialization stuff. Do we stick with Borscht or not for 2.0?
I think he's asking more like what the Borscht breaking changes actually are.
Oh, we're going from 0.10 to 1.5 something. Because 0.10 is like a 3-year-old version of Borscht and also not maintained. And so if there's ever like a security issue, we have problems. So yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs of the breaking change, but that is, we're basically fast forwarding 3 years in time. Yeah, big jump. Yeah, I think that's I think that's the change, or the major breaking change in Anchor 1.0 most people will have PTSD about, because when there was an accidental upgrade of Borscht back in 2022, yeah, everybody hated and people still have scars. You see this still, like people are on like Anchor, they refuse to upgrade Anchor. Yeah, see, no. Everybody remembers this. I remember it because I was giving a workshop the day it changed, and my Anchor inits no longer worked, and I was workshopping to like 100 people or something. It was great. Live coding and everything just suddenly broke. All right, I think other than that, I guess, so for 1.0 to go into it is that we'll make Kodama optional for as part of your Anchor build, to where it uses probably Gil, because Gil already has the render, but it won't be required. And then for 2.0, we'll probably, whether or not we make it the default, still up in the air, but we'll probably consider that. It is a consideration if we can make the Kodama to have all the support for the things in Anchor. There's a good consideration to make that the default, and then just making maybe an additional helpers library for Anchor to use on top of the Gil kit trade-offs. So my goal would be to try to get 2.0 by next year out the door. I don't know if that's a possibility. It's probably a little bit ambitious. According to Arson, the Pinocchio change is actually really easy. I thought it was a lot of work. So I'm waiting to see it. The other thing is that we have to take in consideration probably 6 months down the road, most things will be no standard, or at least the tool chain will be supporting no standard and no like it won't be any additional standard libraries. So we have to. I would anything that we do on the Pinocchio upgrade for Anchor 2.0, I think we should try to take that in consideration and make all the changes that are required to be already no standard compliant.
When is the Pinocchio PR landing?
What now?
I said, did Arson make the Pinocchio PR yet?
No, he was waiting for the. I was talking to him 2 days ago about it. He said he was just going to wait until the .10 release to make the PR because otherwise he has to make a bunch of changes again.
Got it.
It's reasonable. Yes, Web3.js has been marked as deprecated on major docs because I definitely did that. So, all right, cool. Is there any other features that anybody from the audience wants? We've talked about a lot of different features that we wanted to add in 1.0. We talked about the 0.32 release, which hopefully will go out today. It'll go out this week for sure. We have all the access we can push. We have the PRs that we need to complete. So it will go out this week at the very least, if not today. It all depends on whether or not we can wrangle the CLI today, or CI/CD today. We've talked about all the different changes we're expecting in 1.0. Majority of those are already done. There's just a few more things that we needed to do, namely the CLI, ripping out the CLI dependency completely, except for on platform tools, and then getting the near team to do the change on Borscht so that we don't have to re-implement Borscht within Anchor itself. 2.0 is basically just a replacement of Pinocchio, right? It's a drop-in replacement from Solana Program to Pinocchio, plus some of the no STD changes that you have to make with things like we'll probably have to replace some things with Alec. I've already been talking with KV. He's going to make, or he hasn't fully agreed, but he said he was considering making a crate that will do all this for us, and so we can just use that crate rather than having to re-implement it all ourselves, so that we can have very easy access to things that everybody knows and loves from the standard library, just using no standard compliant crates. Yes, KB, please. He's not watching this probably, but I will just go message him again. Other than that, we should get. We're sure they're open sourcing it right. The updates from Near to Borscht. Everything's open source already. I mean, last resort, I believe they have a license, an open source license. So because it's the Near team, last resort, we have it, but I don't want to go that route. If we can, I'd rather be a good contributor and a good consumer. Cool. Any other things that anybody from the audience wants from a 1.0, 2.0? Any problems that people want to bring up on Anchor that they've seen recently that you really wish needs to be changed?
I've got 2 issues in the repo. Sorry. You guys go first, like while I was talking. Like there were 2 issues for V2, but I'll talk later.
Okay, so how about the long errors from Anchor? You miss a seed when you're deriving a PDA, or you're using let's say a wrong account, and you have this long untraceable errors. Like you don't even immediately understand what is going on until you take like 5 minutes understanding what the error is saying. How are we solving that?
Yeah, so I know these errors. We tried to fix them earlier this year. Noah has told me a lot about these throughout quite a long time. I have gone after them for quite a while. Those are not Anchor specific problems. Those are actually like Solana specific problems. the Solana itself needs to be able to expose that information, and there are two issues that let me actually grab. Well, okay, I don't have Slack open. I don't want to live streaming all of Solana Foundation Slack as I go dig through it for this. But there are two issues open on the Anza repo that are basically outlining all the changes that need to be made in order to fix these errors that tells you like actual information about like what account. Like for a lot of times it says, hey, you screwed up on some account, and doesn't tell you what account, and all sorts of stuff. The problem is that currently Agave is very, very tightly coupled on even logging for some reason. It's not like a consensus breaking change, but the amount of plumbing that you have to do to fix this is immense. And they've been slowly air gapping everything and decoupling these error logs so they can update throughout the entire year. It's just been a long slog of issues to go through. I worked with, if you know Stephen Lucier, Stephen Lucier worked on this exact problem for like 2 months straight, and that was the only thing he worked on. And he only got so far on it because it was just like a constant like air gapping different things, so that, and also trying to avoid accidentally breaking mainnet, right? It looks like when I looked at the issue last week, because it was brought up again and I flagged it yet again, I was like trying to figure out where we're at it, that majority of the systems are air gapped at this point to where we can start making the changes. What version of Agave that goes out in, I do not know. Hoping in like 3.1, but it might be a next year thing, and then we have better errors. It's just taken, unfortunately, you think that updating errors would be very easy. Apparently it wasn't, and it has been a long haul to make those updates. Anna, you had two issues?
Yeah, I had two issues in the repo that I wanted to confirm we're still doing them and they're high priority. They're tagged v2. So the first one was serialize should pad with zeros when account shrinks, and the second one is make modules no STD friendly. So is that still important? Is that going to v2? I think you tagged them v2 back in the time.
What was the last one again?
Make modules no STD friendly.
Okay, yeah, we have to
Yeah.
do that. So we
Yeah.
that was the thing that I mentioned, that we have to do, thinking in the future, like probably 6 months down the line, the tool chain will not support standard libraries, so we have to make this update now, in order to be ready for that or not break everything later down the line. And then the first one, what was the first one again?
Serialize should pad with zeros when account shrinks.
This is a very big breaking change, if I remember correctly, to the accounts, and this was recommended by Emanuele from FireDancer. It is something that we can consider. I think we need to figure out like how it can be done and do a little bit deeper dive before we do it.
Okay, thanks.
I think when we were originally thinking about rewriting Anchor completely for V2, that was like, hey, keep that in mind to do. I don't know if we want to do it if we keep Anchor mostly the same and then just do the drop-in replacement with a bunch of CU optimizations. Cool. Any other suggestions from the audience? It's fun, people typing. Noah, I do have some updates for you that I need to make sure that you know, because I know that they affect you since you're in the audience. 1.0 will do upload of IDL, or sorry, 0.32 will do upload of IDL by default unless you pass in a no IDL flag when you do the deployment. I guess that might not affect you because you probably use you probably use squads or some multi-sig for deployment of this, so
Yeah.
you just ignore that.
Buffer deploy squads.
Got it. I don't want this to break helium, basically. And then what was the other one? The
Change where the IDL gets uploaded. I know that was like in talks.
that wasn't we decided not to do that for 032, and we're going to do that for 1.0.
Okay.
We pushed off a lot of like the really major breaking changes to just package them all in 1.0. So the where the IDL gets uploaded is in 1.0. The other change that I wanted to make sure that you knew about was that what was it? So did the IDL one? What was the other one? Okay, well, I've just forgotten it, so I'll just DM you later on that one. I know we mentioned it earlier in the call, and I was like, I need to make sure I tell Noah about it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know they affect you, so I was like, okay, let's just make sure I don't cause issues. All right.
Yeah. Did you say earlier 1.0 is 1.0 switching to Gil, or is it only doing Gil when you turn off Web3.js?
It will be optional, Gil.
And is it gonna have the same interface where you like construct a program, or is it gonna be like the whole Kodama
It
generated?
probably will be
thing?
Kodama. It's we haven't built it yet, but it's probably going to be mostly just Kodama. We probably need some helpers to make it a better interface, right? Other than the Kodama generate interface, because Kodama doesn't generate a great library for you in general. So we might add some Anchor specific helpers, but otherwise it's gonna be different than what it is today. But that's optional. It won't be required.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if, as much as I hate the Kodama interface and I like the Anchor interface, if it's better to just all standardize on one and just use the Kodama. I don't know. I hate when there's like multiple versions of something floating around,
Yeah.
because then you inevitably pull in like somebody else's library and don't know how to use it.
Yeah, I want to have that. So we'll probably add like the easy compat upgrades. So there's a way that you can do the conversion, right, between Web3.js and the kit Gil whatever. It's using compat. So that we can use that and make that like easy to use as part of Anchor v1. Anchor v2, I do want to make it default with kit Gil, but that's later down the line. Cool. Glacier's asking what modules we need to make. No STD. We don't have strings. We don't have Vex. We don't have anything higher than a U64. Yeah, it's a whole different world to be no STD. Just FYI, if you haven't done the deep dive. We do have Alec, which is an open source crate that allows you to have these things. We just need to make it easy to use.
What is it gonna look like upgrading? Because I assume to get the no STD and Vex and stuff, like all of your existing Anchor accounts are not serialized correctly, right? They're serialized for Borscht.
We haven't done that yet. I haven't done that work yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other way around it. I feel like you're probably gonna have to make like an endpoint or something that converts them.
Yeah, it's gonna be painful. I already know that. That's why we're not waiting for that for 2.0.
Oh, okay. So 1.0 is not gonna have any of the. I mean, wait, it's not gonna be no STD at all.
It's not going to be no. The SDK is not. The Solana SDK is not a no STD.
Okay, so most of the performance gains will come with V2 then.
Yes, there will still be some performance gains in V1. Like there will be a lot smaller binaries. There will be CU optimizations out the wazoo, like we already have. We've already done quite a few of them. But the huge ones that come with like no STD and Pinocchio will not happen until V2.
Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling it's just gonna have to be like a very manual thing where you probably cause some downtime on your contract.
Going to try to avoid that. Well, we'll do a lot of work and a lot of testing, including testing things like TukTuk to see how we can avoid that.
That's gonna be really hard to avoid because you've got the client side, right? And all the clients are trying
Yeah.
to read the Borscht serialized things.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll
I
be
think you might be able to do some kind of staged thing where you like upgrade to a new client that is able to figure out if the thing is Borscht or zero copy, and then basically inoculate all of the clients so that they can handle both and then do the upgrade.
hmm Yeah, we should create an issue on tracking this, Anna, if you can, so that we can start like a discussion and figuring out like what are the different ways that we can do this upgrade, especially in thinking about like architecturally, what does the upgrade look like for V2? Cool. Anything else you want to mention, Robert, Anna?
I think I want to talk briefly about the fuzzing project.
Go for it.
I think Kai is here actually. If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I could talk about it a little bit.
So just
Yeah,
briefly,
so
Kai's running this metric, and he's planning to work on the fuzzing project for Anchor. Or at least we had some ideas, and we want to talk about it here to see if anyone had any thoughts or objections. Sorry, go on, Kai.
Yeah, so we're kind of taking inspiration from like EVM landscape. You know, the Foundry, and you could write, you know, basic unit tests and fuzz tests, and then invariant tests, which are stateful. So I think it'd be kind of nice to, you know, have some of those things brought to Anchor, especially for like the more complex DeFi protocols. It's kind of somewhat necessary to have that in like the testing infrastructure. It's not quite sure, you know, maybe we'll wrap like Mollusk or LightSVM, you know, have it abstract away some of the you know, repeated things that you do when using it, like setting up accounts and deserializing. But yeah, it remains to be seen how exactly it'll look. The focus should be on like usability, and you know, you want developers to do it, so focus on ease of use. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about what do you think it should look like, or any recommendations, I'd be interested in hearing.
Anything going to the decision between LightSVM and Mollusk on your end?
Yeah, I didn't actually know about Mollusk until today. But it's quite unsure. I know Anchor already works a little bit with Mollusk, right? Like you set up Mollusk tests. So that might be something. I don't know. I'd have to test it out. It shouldn't be too much different. It should be something you could just switch out. You know, the amount of calls it is pretty small set. Most of like the fuzzing architecture should be ambivalent depending on Mollusk or LightSVM.
I think that would probably
So
move
maybe
in the right
both.
direction if possible, because I know a lot of people in the ecosystem use Mollusk. I know that I want to eventually make default testing LightSVM actually for Anchor, especially given the thought that we will be switching out like Solana Test Provider with Surfpool, which wraps LightSVM and gives you a lot of cheat codes if you know how to use LightSVM. So just like a better developer experience, but then for the people that want to use Mollusk, I would still want to make sure that the fuzzer can support it.
Yeah, that sounds good. It shouldn't be too hard to, you know, have them both.
Close to the end of this call, but one thing I'd be curious about is if people are using fuzzing currently, or what use cases people want supported, right? So I think there's a reasonable corpus of people who use fuzzing in Ethereum land, and that's largely because Foundry has really good fuzz support. You can write a test sort of equivalent to writing a normal test that does fuzzing for you. I'm not sure if people do it as frequently on Solana, but one thing we wanted to focus on was to make the developer experience as good as possible, right? So the idea is you can write a fuzz test as easily as you would write a normal test. I think that's sort of the standard we wanted to achieve. And one question that we were trying to talk about internally was what do people actually use fuzzing for, right? Or do people not use it at all, right? If people don't use it at all, then maybe we should just try to get something basic that people can use, right? But if there's particular use cases that people feel strongly about, we can make sure to accommodate those and make sure this tool actually works for them. Not sure if anyone in the audience has any thoughts.
I mean, we don't use fuzzing, but other people might. I'm pretty sure Squads definitely fuzzes their stuff.
I know Squads formally verifies their stuff. I'm not sure if they fuzz actually. I know Camino did a big fuzzing run recently. They had that tweet, but I'm not sure how well it went. I can talk to them. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what is the how many protocols actually use fuzzing. Yeah.
Well, also, I wonder if any of the auditors are doing it, right? Like they're not.
Yeah, at least we
telling
generally
us how
don't.
they're doing it.
I think it's not super common. If I had to guess, I guess Aki probably does. I mean, they wrote the fuzzing framework, right? So I hope that they use it. But my understanding is most auditors don't really use fuzzing right now. I think part of the reason might be it's pretty time intensive to fuzz. So oftentimes the question is like, is it better to just read the code versus writing a fuzzer if you're an auditor? But I think that the goal of this is so developers can also achieve sort of the same security benefits that an auditor would without having to pay an auditor for it. So I think the idea is if you're a developer, you can write these fuzz tests while you're running your code and hopefully squash out some bugs before it goes to an audit.
I would argue that there's probably not many developers that use fuzzing today because there's not a good fuzzing tool yet on Solana.
Right. Yeah. So maybe this is like an XY problem, or like.
Because like if you look at Ethereum, right, everybody uses it in Foundry
Right.
because there's a good fuzzer on Ethereum. I'm willing
Right.
to bet it'll transfer like the same type of thing. It's like if we have a good, easy to use fuzzer on Solana, like why not use it at that point? Like it's just helping you understand like how to secure your program.
Yeah, especially if
kinda-
it's an easy enough interface that you can hook it up to AI and it can just write the fuzz test for you.
That's actually something that we're thinking about. I mean, it seems like there's quite a bit of research around writing fuzz harnesses with AI. It's the sort of thing where, it can't really screw it up, right? Like worst case, it writes the harness wrong, but then you just have a test that doesn't really do anything. But it feels a lot safer than writing actual code with AI. So I actually think it's a pretty good use case, right? You generate 50 harnesses or a dozen harnesses with AI. You run all of them and see what crashes, and if it crashes, you debug it. Yeah, but that's a reach feature. I don't know if we're going to implement that on the first version of the fuzzer, but we have thought about it, and it would be a cool idea to integrate. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I think that's it for me. I guess we should talk about the security stuff afterwards, Jacob, and then.
Yeah, we can do that. Very cool. I guess we can wrap up this month's Anchor community call. I think the next one was on the 12th. We can put out something information about it. Remembering that I don't think I personally will be available on the 12th, so we'll figure that out. But we will have the next one, and hopefully by then we'll have some sort of 1.0 at least like as a release candidate. So we can see what people think about it. But yeah, thank you all for joining, and we will see you soon. And also, make sure if you have any issues, feel free to put any issues. But yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.